Really quickly, because we're here to keep things moving and to be your guides through what's going to be a packed but extremely enjoyable day.
But first, it's our job to thank President Macron, Bill and Melinda Gates, the coolest 10-year-old on the planet. Am I right, DJ Switchkana? And goalkeeper favorites Naturally 7 for what was a spectacular start.
I was thinking, when I grow up, I want to be like
Yeah,
DJ
seriously.
Well, after last night's celebration, today is really about organizing and galvanizing. It's about learning how to make progress happen, preparing to hold leaders to account. It's about us truly becoming goalkeepers. And we're winning already. Congratulations for getting here on time. Through the Manhattan traffic during Unga Week. That is an achievement. This is going to be a good day. And what's more, it's being live streamed as we speak, so you can say hi to the goalkeepers watching around the world.
You might be wondering, why am I here? How did they find me? You might be thinking, I don't know anyone here, or you might know everyone here and think that you've heard it all. By the end of the day, no matter what, this should all make sense. You'll be inspired by what, and that will surprise you. You'll get a contact that was exactly what you needed. Or maybe 2 weeks from now, after this is all sunk in, you'll send an email to a connection you made, and you'll make more impact and more change than you even knew could happen. Let's be real about this. Any of you probably could have been on this stage. So this isn't meant to be a day at all where we're just talking to you. The presentations are meant to touch on a broad number of subjects to try and hit any questions that a number of you may have. But this afternoon, please raise your hands, stand up, join in, whatever. You're as much a part of today as anyone.
Absolutely. Now, at the heart of what today is about are the 17 global goals that are behind us now, and the data which guides our approach to making them happen. But who's actually here in the room today? Who are we goalkeepers?
Well, to help us find out, we thought we'd do a little data dive of our own on you guys.
First up, we discovered that the majority of goalkeepers here today are women. Yeah.
And youth, which will play a big part in what's coming up later, is very much in the room as well, with a quarter of us being under 30.
And this is truly, all the over 30s are clapping. This is truly a global group as well. We've got 52 countries represented in the room right now.
Incredible. And amazingly, 2 of you have won coveted awards just within the last 24 hours. Stand up, Dismas and Amica, I believe you're here. You are fully deserving of another round of applause. You guys were incredible last night.
Fantastic. What an incredible night that was.
It really was. I teared up like way too many times. We're also seeing that 7 people are worried that you haven't put your phones on silent. You know who you are. Take care of that now. What's for certain, though, is that everyone in the room is a goalkeeper and that today will be unforgettable.
Certainly will. But before we jump in, it's worth just briefly taking a look back. As an important part of goalkeepers, we announced 4 accelerators last year. Now, each accelerator is a sort of super partnership that's aimed at catalyzing solutions and taking the smart steps that are needed to create as much tangible progress as possible towards achieving the goals.
These partnerships can be made up of individuals and organizations across government, business, civil society, philanthropy, whatever and whoever it takes to make things happen. Last year, we announced accelerators around nutrition, digital financial inclusion, women changing the world, and community health workers.
And all of the accelerators announced last year are well on their way to delivering tangible change, thanks to the connections and collaborations that were forged in this very community. We're delighted to say that today we'll be launching 3 more accelerators, focused on different issues, but still sharing that same overall aim of hitting the goals.
And remember, you've also got your very own interactive space right out there in the atrium. There's so much stuff to check out there. You can connect with each other, swap ideas, thoughts, and of course, contact details using the new Global Goals business cards that you guys should have all gotten. So let's get going.
Now, later this morning, Melinda Gates will return to introduce us to a group of truly inspirational activists who will tell us how they made change happen despite the significant barriers they faced.
And very soon, the creative force behind the global goals, Richard Curtis, together with actor Stephen Fry, will tell us how the goals came to be and why they are so crucial.
But first, with the help of Bill Gates and David Senge, a goalkeeper here last year, and now the first ever Chief Innovation Officer of Sierra Leone, we're about to ask the question, is poverty inevitable?
Hi, I'm Moyena David Senge, the Chief Innovation Officer for the government of Sierra Leone, and I'll be your host for this session. This year, Goalkeepers is continuing on its audacious mission of accelerating progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. To do that, we need inspired governments, dedicated organizations, and committed people to take action every day and everywhere. No one actor can solve these challenges alone. That's why they're called the global goals. But together, we can transform our world. During the next hour, we will dig into examples of what it will take to help us achieve these goals. To help us understand the challenge and opportunity before us, I would like to welcome to the stage someone who is a technology and development nerd. Most importantly, he's goalkeeper enthusiast number one. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Gates.
Well, thanks, David. I'm excited to be here. And of course, we're focusing on young people today because of their importance in transforming the world. Of course, I'm not one of these young people, but I do remember what it was like to be rebellious and have new ideas. I waited until my parents were asleep, and I snuck out of the house in the middle of the night to go up and use a computer in the University of Washington's physics department. There were a few hours in the middle of the night when the graduate students weren't there, and I could have a few hours on this big, amazing machine. The machine was the size of a room, and it was about 8,000 times less powerful than what you have in your pocket. But I would do anything to get my hands on it and try out to see what the magic of software could do. And that's the kind of rebelliousness or new thinking that I'm hoping we can tap into today. The natural desire of youth to change things and make the world better. Well, we're going to start the conversation my favorite way, which is looking at the numbers. The movie asked a really stark question: is poverty inevitable? And there's a clear answer here. The answer is no. We asked 2,000 people on the internet about what they thought was going on with poverty. We told them the 1990 number and asked them to guess where it had gone. And their guess was that it had fallen from that 36% down to 22%. In fact, the real line is far, far better. It drops all the way down to 9%. That means 1.2 billion people have overcome extreme poverty since 1990. As the economist Max Roser has said, the newspapers could have run a headline: number of people in poverty fell by 137,000 since yesterday, every single day for 25 years, and been right. Real news. According to the World Bank, this definition we use is a cutoff of about $1.90 per day or less. So imagine what it's like to live in extreme poverty. You have to think about the basics like your next meal all the time. An extremely poor family mostly has access only to the food that they grow themselves. If you have a bad harvest, if one of your animals gets sick, you're going to have a period where you're not getting enough food. Daughters in these families have to gather water and wood. They have to cook dinners on an open fire with lots of smoke, and then they have to clean everything up. If they get a chance to do schoolwork at all, it's going to be very late at night. So if they need a lamp, if they have it, to be able to do that work. So the upshot is, if you're extremely poor, your time and energy really goes to mere survival. Getting out of extreme poverty is not the end goal. We want people lifted up way beyond extreme poverty, but it's really the start that gets things going, that gets countries on the way to self-sufficiency and moving towards middle income. So this is not just about the individuals, it's also about the countries themselves. Now, to look at this visually, we've created some graphs here where we have a single dot representing 1 million people. And so right now you're seeing the number of dots that represent the number of people who overcame poverty in this last generation since 1990. And it's really great to see how we made that incredible reduction because it hints, okay, what remains, what do we have to do in the future? And the progress came really in two great ways. The first wave was China. In 1990, not very long ago, 66% of people in China were extremely poor. So you can see all the dots there, each representing, again, 1 million people. But over just a short period, 15 years, their extreme poverty declined by over 500 million. Now, China's a unique place, but the improvement in people's lives there is one of the most astonishing examples of progress in world history. The second wave came in India. Progress there started later, and it's been more gradual, but it's also an impressive trend. India went from 400 million people in extreme poverty in 2005 to just under 100 million today. And over the next several decades, that number is going to drop quite a bit. So the question we face here is, can we create a third great wave of poverty reduction in the rest of the world that will bring extreme poverty near to eradication? Now, our message here, it's not going to be easy. We can go back to our dots, again, looking at each one representing 1 million people, but now we're going to look at the people who remain in extreme poverty. So starting back in 1990, we're going to take all those dots and do a pie chart that gives us a sense of what it looked like by region back in 1990. So you can see sub-Saharan Africa, the blue part there, represented a relatively small slice of extreme poverty in 1990. But because this has fallen so quickly in East and South Asia, so we're dropping the total number of people a lot. But also, as we drop those numbers, you can see that that sub-Saharan slice, the blue slice, is getting to be a very substantial part of this pie. In fact, if we project this out to 2050, it's rather stunning. It's a trend that I sort of was aware of, but even I was surprised